Welcome back, everybody. Eric here, and that's right. We've got another Top 5 Guns episode, and today we're going to be talking about the top 5 guns to buy before an election. And this is the 2024 edition. Now, we've made this video before in the past, but here we are. Times are hard, times are crazy, and we found ourselves at this crossroads here. So, what guns should you buy before a potential election? Well, why would you need to buy a gun before an election? Well, because sometimes elections have some pretty severe consequences, right? Maybe the incoming candidate wants to really limit your ability to protect yourself, right? You know, in this case, Kamala Harris is very anti-gun. You know, people are rightfully worried about, you know, what the future could hold for the Second Amendment. You know, maybe you need to kind of consolidate some firearms to protect yourself, and you want to get those before the election comes around. That's kind of what the premise of today's video is about. Before we get started, I would like to thank our friends at SDI for supporting today's video. If you're looking for a career in gunsmithing, they are your go-to people. They've got some great drone programs, anything on the business side. Definitely some really good folks to work with. Awesome curriculum, great instructors. Check them out, SDI, Sonoran Desert Institute, and tell them Eric sent you. All right, so as normal, we have 5 guns with a wild card, which makes 6. And these are in no particular order, and I'm going to go through and explain my reasoning for why you should have these types of guns, not only before an election, but what I tried to choose in this particular video were some firearms that I just find to be extremely useful. Let's just say that money is a limiting factor, because it is, believe me. Times are tough, and people don't have a ton of money to spend, I get it. So if you do have to choose carefully which guns you buy because you're limited on resources, well, which one should you buy? And for what reason? So let's dive in. First one, I think that everybody needs to have a Ruger 1022. This is a very useful setup. Now these come in a bunch of different configurations. Obviously this fires a 22 long rifle. It is a semi-automatic, takes a 25 round magazine, okay, as you can see here. Now this is a charger pistol with a pistol brace that folds, okay. This one is available in a bunch of configurations, but this started life as the 8-inch Ruger Charger. Now they make a version of this gun with a 10-inch barrel. I recommend the version with the 8-inch barrel because it keeps it nice and compact, especially if you're going to put a suppressor on it. Now the nice thing about this rig is obviously with it 1/2 by 28 threads, you can suppress it. Now this one's had some stuff done to it. This is not a standard Charger pistol, so they don't come like this. This one's had an updated chassis system, an updated Volquartsen bolt, charging handle, and carbon fiber wrap barrel. This one is wearing an AAC element suppressor, and we've got our Magpul K Mo grip on here. Also, this has Volquartsen's really nice trigger unit. So this one's kind of been decked out a little bit. This is, you know, definitely indicative of a very decked out Ruger Charger. But the baseline version of this gun can be had for like $300. You can pick up a brace for probably another $60 or $80. So for south of, let's just say by the time you buy some mags and ammo and a little optic or something, for well south of about $550, $600, you can have a very useful survival tool that can fold up nice and compact and small, light recoil. Okay, if you want to go the option of suppressing it, you can, but otherwise you've got a nice compact setup. So there's your Ruger Charger pistol and 22 long rifle. That's definitely a gun I highly recommend. It's one of my favorites of all time. At this point in the game, if you don't own an AR, there's probably some sort of a problem. Maybe you live somewhere where you can't have one, whatever. I digress. However, I think everybody needs to have an AR, and there are a lot of different options out there. I tend to prefer the Mark 18. This is a Daniel Defense product. Now this is mounted up with an EOTech red dot and magnifier, which I haven't done a video on this rig yet. This is the first time you're seeing it here on the channel, but a big thanks to EOTech for supplying this magnifier and red dot here for these videos. And this is a great Mark 18. This one is an SBR, so I dropped a stock on this one. And this has Daniel Defense's 3D, I think it's a 3D printed suppressor that they make. But these cans are great. A little on the hefty side, but it's a really nice match for this particular gun. This gun has a 10.3 inch barrel, so relatively short barrel. And for close-in work, it is a fantastic setup for protecting yourself in the household. Throw a flashlight and a sling on this thing and you're good to go. I actually haven't added a light to this gun yet. I need to do that, and a sling. I'm behind the curve on that. However, this is a fantastic setup, and it's short, maneuverable, compact. You can run it with the red dot or flip the magnifier out of the way. And you've got a really cool setup there that's very useful for medium ranges and close range work. Now, I'm going to do another video discussing barrel lengths on ARs. 10.3 is on the small side for an AR for sure, definitely towards the shortest end that I would find to be useful. However, for close-in work and personal defense work, and especially in the home with the right ammo, Federal has a I believe a 62 grain FBI load. That's their Black Talon projectile. It's a bonded bullet, and out of this barrel, it is fantastic at close room-to-room type ranges. So everyone needs to have an AR, whether you get a Palmetto State Armory or a Daniel Defense, whatever you can afford. Going into election, if you don't have an AR, that's a very important gun to have in your arsenal, okay? So number one was our Ruger 1022. Number two was our Daniel Defense Mark 18. Coming in at number three, and again, these are in no particular order, by the way, we have a Glock 19X. Now, I know what everybody's going to say. Eric, why in the heck are you always pumping a Glock 19X or a SIG M17 or something like that? Well, frankly, you know, I've been doing a heck of a lot of videos on guns over the years, and I always just go back to the Glock 19X because it's a solid pistol. This thing is a fantastic shooter. It's got the Glock marksman's barrel in it, which is great. You know, it's got factory night sights. It holds a respectable amount of ammo. The trigger's decent. I like the finish. And man, this one shoots the living daylights out. It's a Glock that I'm very confident with. But whether or not you buy a Glock or some other type of pistol, I would just say that the number three slot should be some type of auto-loading pistol. Whether you choose to go with CZ, Smith & Wesson, Glock, Kimber, it doesn't matter. They all make fantastic pistols. Find something you like. Don't worry about what it is. Just get yourself a pistol. I would recommend a full-size pistol like a Glock 19X or a 17 or something like that, or a full-size M&P. Something that has full capacity, full barrel length, in the service pistol type category. You know, you can conceal this fairly easy. If you want to break this down into two potential guns within this category, you could, you know, look into a compact, like a super subcompact, like a Micro 9, like the SIG P365 or the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus is a fantastic gun. Also, Ruger has their Max 9 Pro, which is a double stack 9mm. That's a nice, you know, compact 9. So if you want something in that category, you could look at that too, but I'd recommend something like the 19X. So going into an election, make sure you have a good full-length pistol. That's just me talking here. You take it for what you will. All right, coming in at number four, and again, in no particular order, some type of a 308 hunting rifle. You know, and the reason that I chose this particular option is because you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a fairly good bolt-action rifle that you can use for hunting purposes. You know, you need a gun that can harvest game and take fairly larger game. And, you know, this gun can sort of operate in that sniper rifle territory a little bit if it needs to. Believe me, and this is actually a Remington Mohawk Model 600, which is, you know, a little bit older of a gun from Remington. This is not a 700, y'all. This is a 600. Notice the bolt. It's forward swept. It kind of looks like a little miniature P17 action or something. These guns are fantastic. And, you know, Jeff Cooper was one of the guys who really, you know, used to tell his students to buy these rifles because they were really, you know, nice and compact and easy recoil, easy to shoot, and you can buy them reasonably inexpensively. Now, when I bought this gun, it had a really messed up stock. I dropped it in a Boyd's replacement stock, which of course looks beautiful. This one has a Leupold VX Freedom on it. That one is a 1.5 to 4x20, so a nice, you know, lightweight optic. A gun that's easy to point, easy to shoot. All right, something that can be fielded easily. You can take game with it. You can protect yourself with it, and it's something that has a little more power than an AR. but you're also not having to spend the extra money to buy an autoloader 308. So a bolt action is definitely not a bad option. I mean, a rig like this, you could probably get set up for, you know, I think, well, with replacing the stock and the optic, I bought the gun itself very cheap. The rifle itself was only $350. But by the time you add a $200 stock and a $300 optic, you can see that adds up pretty quickly. Don't be afraid to look in your pawn shops and just find a little used 308 rifle with a scope on it. It doesn't have to be anything super fancy. Just shoot it, get used to it, make sure you're comfortable with it, zero it, and just know it's capable. Now, can the Mark 18 be used as a hunting rifle? Absolutely. You can kill a deer with this Mark 18. Would I want to shoot anything larger than a deer with that AR? Probably not, unless I was really close, you know, with a headshot or something. You could shoot hogs with this Mark 18, but that 308 gives you the ability to know that if you do need to take down large game or something, or use it to defend yourself at a little bit longer range than the Mark 18, then that might give you a little option there, okay? So a bolt action, 308 hunting rifle will be a good thing to have overall, okay? Very useful tool. All right, so that's number 4. Going into number 5, okay, we have a Mossberg 500 Mariner. Okay, this is the Marine model, and you can see it has the nickel finish. This is a fantastic shotgun. Now, I considered filling this particular slot with my Benelli M4H2O now, but that is also a very expensive shotgun. Those things cost a lot of money, and that might not be within reach of your average shooter who's trying to get into something just to kind of fill out the gaps in their collection going into the election, not knowing what the heck is going to happen, right? Elections are full of, potential civil unrest like we saw with J6 and things, so you never know what can or cannot happen. So being armed is just smart to be able to protect yourself from anything that might occur. You just never know, right? But this is a great option in a 12 gauge. So it's a pump action 12 gauge with the marine finish. It holds up really good to rust and corrosion and things like that. And it's just a good solid shotgun, a good proven performer, a shotgun that has held up to the test of time and has always been a solid unit. Mossberg makes a fantastic pump action shotgun. I highly recommend them. They are fantastic. So don't shy away from something like this. And look, out of this list, if you had to prioritize this list, now there is a wild card still. We got one more to show you. But if you had to prioritize this list, I would say the priority should be first, if you were going to buy every gun on this table, what would you buy in what order? I would say I'd probably buy the Mark 18, then I'd buy this, and then I'd buy that Glock. The 22 and the 308 are just kind of, it'd be nice to have them, but those aren't as necessary. You got to have a good rifle, pistol, and shotgun. And if you are going to have only one rifle, I would say something like an AR is definitely a must. All right, now what is something that would be a little bit more on the would like to have end, all right? This didn't make it into the top 5 because I consider this more of a luxury to have and not necessarily a necessity, because if you have the Mark 18, you pretty much fill the sort of niche and purpose that this gun would fill. But I want to show it to you anyway because these things are really cool. This is a Micro Scorpion. So CZ makes this particular gun. And, it takes detachable 20, 30, and 50 round magazines, okay? But these are really neat. It's a K pistol with a brace, and it has like a little 4-inch barrel, like a really short barrel on this particular gun. And, this was part of a special contract that CZ put together, I believe for a South American anti-terrorist organization or something like that, if my memory serves. And CZ made a limited number of these, and then they quit making them. And then after some time, people kept asking, hey, when are y'all going to bring these back? And then they finally brought it back, and they're, I think, Gen 2 version. They've got a newer version of this particular gun. This is the OG version from a few years back. But this is a fantastic pistol. It does have a collapsible Manicore brace on it, so it gets nice and compact, semi-auto 9mm, okay? This may not necessarily be as useful as a Mark 18 for personal protection and things like that, but if you want a PCC, a pistol caliber carbine, something like this is a fantastic option. This does give you the ability to have maybe a slightly reduced amount of collateral damage potentially, to shoot 9mm. And if you buy a PCC that takes Glock magazines, well, then now you have a PCC that can take the same magazine that your sidearm takes. That's what we would call a perfect pair. Now, this isn't a perfect pair, being a CZ and this being a Glock. However, I wanted to show this off because it's a really cool pistol. But again, a PCC is something that would be useful to have if you have the spare money and you don't mind spending some extra money to get something kind of cool. All right, so that's worth looking at, little CZ Micro. So there are your top 5 guns to buy before the 2024 election. Hope you enjoyed today's video. And I really enjoy making these videos. Let me know what type of top 5 guns video you would like me to do. And we will revisit this subject with some different guns and things like that. I haven't done a top 5 in forever. So I'm so glad that we were able to get back to doing some top 5s. We have many more videos on the way. Did your favorite gun not make it into this list? Let me know below. Is there a gun that should have made the list but didn't? What are the top 5s that you would like to see? Where am I wrong? Where am I right? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Get involved in the conversation down below. Let me know, and I'll read through some of the comments and take them to heart. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Many more on the way. We'll see you soon.